Hello everybody and welcome back to Odin's Movie Blog. I am the critic who's a cynic. How's everybody doing today? Today I'm going to be covering two different stories, both of which I think are significant. One's going to tie into what I was covering yesterday about Solo's box office numbers and how the media are just now continuing just to spin it to try to do the best they can to try and make it seem like this is just not as bad of a film as it actually is. And when you actually look at the numbers, when you do the math, this is one of the worst flops of all time, or at least of recent memory, because a movie losing $200 million minimum at the box office is never a good thing, regardless of anything else. But I first want to start off with a very positive story, and this is just awesome, and I really do feel like this story speaks to the movement that we are a part of, and I really do think that it helps to kind of shine the light on how Star Wars fans, or at least the core fandom, actually are as people. We oftentimes get the media who are trying to say they're all racist, they're all sexist, they're all just hateful, toxic people, but then stories like this come out that really show, actually, no, that's not what's going on here. There's obviously something much different going on than what the media is trying to portray, and here's the evidence of that. And so, as you can see from here, it says, Jar Jar Binks actor thanks Star Wars fans for support after sharing suicide struggle, and this is from Cinema Blend, written by Corey Chichizola. And what I think is most important about this is the fact that this actor who shared this story, he did not have to share this story, but he wanted to, and guess what happened? He didn't get, oh, go away, crybaby. He didn't get, attacked. Instead, he got an overwhelming amount of support. Guess what? From Star Wars fans, people who maybe they didn't like his character, maybe they didn't like the prequels. I know I didn't, but I was very much in support of him coming out and sharing that story, because I think it's very important. Because what was going on back then? Was it the fandom that was attacking him back when those films came out? No. Guess what it was? It was the media. It was the media who was attacking his character. It was the media that was dragging his name through the mud because of the betrayal of his character. And I think that that's something that oftentimes people forget. Now, am I saying that there are, fans have no no stake, that the fans are just completely flawless or faultless in all of this? No. Again, are there certain people out there who might be fans of the franchise, who might be disgusting human persons, who might have something wrong with them? Sure, but it's a very small number of people. And it's stories like this that help to really show that, because guess what? He shared that story and he got an overwhelming amount of support. I can tell you right now, the people who are often deemed as the heads of the supposed alt-right, conservative, Nazi, sexist, not racist group, were the ones probably at the forefront saying, this is great that this person's finally coming out and we support you. And no one really talked about that. No one really covered that. And so it's really great to see that, finally some truth is getting out there, because we support these people. Again, he did nothing wrong. This actor did nothing wrong. He was a part of a film, he was a character of film, and the media lambasted him for it, and, caused a lot of chaos in his life. Now, again, are there probably some individuals who can cause that in other people's lives? Sure. And you can point out examples of that happening. You can point out examples of hateful people, but it's very, very small. When you talk about people who can have an effect on somebody, the media has so much more power, so much more of a voice, that they are the ones who can have a more profound impact. So the fact that this actor is thanking the fans is really prominent. He's not thanking the media. He's not thanking the media for sharing the story. He's thanking the fans who reached out to him and said, we're so sorry that this happened to you. We feel so bad. We love you as a person. There's nothing wrong with you as a person, and we're so glad that you're in a better place right now. That's where almost every single person who's a part of the Star Wars fandom feels about this, and I think that it's so important that this actually gets out there. So to actually get into the article itself, it says, the Star Wars franchise is one of the biggest and most beloved of film history. The space opera has passed down, has passed down across generations, leading to a movie-going base that is loyal to George Lucas's fantastic world. You're damn right about that. But with Disney now in charge of the property and putting out both main installments and standalone films, there are more opportunities for the franchise to misstep and royally piss off the fans. There is no Star Wars figure who has felt the wrath more than Abed Best, who played Jar Jar Binks in The Phantom Menace. Most recently revealed his attempt to suicide in the wake of the Jar Jar hate and received an outpouring of love via social media. Now he's taking to Twitter once more to thank everyone for the love. And I think what's really bad about this, so again, Cinema Blend, I'm glad that Cinema Blend is covering the story, but you know what I see right there? They're not saying that, oh, when they got attacked by the media. Instead, it sounds like he's saying, oh, the fan backlash. All the fan backlash we have right now? Well, this is a great example of that. And it's no. Were there people who were probably upset with his character, who didn't think it was a very good character? Sure. But it was the media that went after him full bore because of the character that he was portraying. So let's just get our facts straight for a second before we try and insinuate certain things. But let's actually look to what Ahmed actually said. And he says, Thank you all for the love and kindness. It's been overwhelming. I'm going to start writing the show. Going to need help because I've never done this before. I will be trying out stuff and posting it here. Let folks know. Thanks for all your support. It means so very much to me. You know what? I think his show is going to do very well. I think him telling his story, telling his perspective is going to be very, moving. And guess what? Guess who are going to see it? Guess who are the people who are actually going to go out and watch his show? Not members of the media. Members of the Star Wars fandom. And I think it's very important that we make that differentiation because I've mentioned this before. When it comes to the media, what do the media want? They want ratings. They want clicks. They want all these other things. And people might say, oh, that's what YouTube people want as well. But the difference, though, is that we're coming from this, or at least I try to come from this, from a very commonsensical perspective. I try and say, this is what we know, this is what we don't know, and there are certain things that are black and white. There's also certain things that are gray, and that's what I try and bring. The media, they try and take a stance, at least nowadays they do. They used to do that. They used to say, here are all the facts. We'll let you decide whether or not, how to actually feel about it. But now the feelings are starting to actually get into these articles, and it's just becoming editorializing. It's like basically these articles are just becoming editorials, and they're trying to present themselves as movie news sites, or even in the mainstream media, we're seeing that now too. And I think it's so important to make that differentiation and to understand, what's actually going on here. He goes on to say, after having 20 years of hate thrown his way for Jar Jar Binks' antics in the prequels, it seems that Ahmed Best has finally gotten the love and closure he needed, and now he's going to try and make some art out of it from the fans. Again, we need to make that clear. He received hate most from the media, and it was the fans that are there to support him now, who are there to show, to outstretch, to show love for him as a person. Because again, all people, no matter where you are in the world, no matter what you've done, again, this is just the theology teacher in me, is worthy of love, is worthy of human dignity. And I think it's so important for us to actually understand that, and that's why stories like this are so important as well. So Ahmed Best's latest tweet shows how lasting the effects of hate can be. While fanboys are notoriously critical of iconic franchises like Star Wars and the Marvel Cinematic Universe, one rarely thinks about the psychological ramifications on the target. Once again, it was the media that went after him in this case. Again, you're not being totally honest, Cinema Blend. It was the media that attacked him because they saw it as a racist caricature, and so they dug it into the ground. Again, the fans may not have liked the character, but the fans were not the one giving the toxic hate, as y'all like to use that word, the toxic hate, back during that time during the prequels. I'm sorry, that was coming from the media, and let's just be honest about that. He goes and says, Jar Jar Binks was universally loathed at the Phantom Menace, with the character being regulated to a glorified extra in the following two sequels. The hate hasn't really let up in the following years, although fan theories about Jar Jar being a Sith Lord have added some levity to the situation. I think most people find that funny, to be honest, or at least, against Jar Jar being a Sith Lord in disguise, which I think would be hilarious if they were ever to reveal that. They're not going to, but it would be hilarious if they did. But still, once again, Cinema Blend, you're kind of showing yourself. Again, you had that opportunity to say, here's what's going on, and now you're beginning to editorialize saying, oh, fanboys are notoriously, critical and toxic and all these other things. And no, let's just be honest. In this case, it was the media that gave all the toxicity. Let's be honest about that, please. Ahmed Best's struggle with Star Wars backlash echoes the conversation currently surrounding the fandom, with filmmakers like Rian Johnson and J.J. Abrams making liberal changes to the canon. That is one way of putting it, that's for sure. There are plenty of fans who are unhappy with the direction of the property, and they certainly make their voices known, especially when it comes to Star Wars Last Jedi. Rian Johnson has met with a barrage of hate for subverting fan expectations, which he's managed to take in stride. Yes, so let's talk about subverting those fan expectations. You mean taking a property and running it into the ground? Because that's what he's done. Look at the numbers for The Last Jedi, $700 million less than The Force Awakens. Look at what's going on with Solo now. $200 million loss. I mean, this is the reality of the situation. These are the facts. These are the numbers that are going on. So, barrage of hate for subverting expectations. No, he made a film that took everything that was set up in the previous film and destroyed it. Now, you can try and say, oh, that's subversion of expectations, and we need more of that in film. But in reality, when you actually have a franchise, basically, imagine this. If Iron Man 1 set up so many really cool story elements, and then someone took over Iron Man 2 and said, screw everything that director did, I'm just going to make my own film, and I'm just going to take all of these things and destroy them, that would be the worst business move ever, because the whole reason why people are going to see Iron Man 2 is to see the conclusions that are coming from Iron Man 1. Same thing with Star Wars. Everything that was set up in The Force Awakens, there were some things that people didn't like, but they still overall liked the direction of the film. But guess what happened? They tried to subvert expectations, and what did they do? They decided just to destroy everything in the process. That was Rian Johnson who did that. So please do not try and tie this into what happened to Ahmed Best. What happened to Ahmed Best was the media destroying his character because they saw it as a racist caricature. This was totally different. This was fans of a property who were seeing their franchise, who were seeing the property that they love so much, essentially being destroyed and turned apart in so many different ways, and just expressing their opinion about it. And guess what's happened? Rian Johnson's attacked them, other members of Lucasfilm have attacked them, and Lucasfilm has stayed silent on it. And guess what happened? Solo has now lost $200 million, and I guarantee you we will see something similar happen with Episode 9 if they do not change course. And then, of course, we have to have this because, again, Cinema Blend, you had an opportunity, and instead you decided to make it political. You decided to bring your nonsense into this article, and you try to tie it into an entirely different situation right here. Additionally, actress Kelly Marie Tran recently left Twitter, reportedly due to the hate she received for Star Wars role. Well, first off, it wasn't Twitter, it was Instagram, so get your facts straight. First off, Cinema Blend, and, you know, get that fact straight. And also, two, it's reportedly due to the hate she received for the Star Wars role. Well, really? I don't remember that ever being confirmed by anybody. Has Kelly Marie Tran actually come out and said that's why she left Instagram? No. In fact, guess what? If you temporarily suspend your Instagram account, guess what happens? All your content gets thrown away. But you don't want to talk about that, do you, Cinema Blend? No, you don't want to talk about the facts. You would rather just spin your wheels and try to say, see what's happened with Ahmed Best? Well, why can't it also happen with Kelly Marie Tran? It's like, well, it's not the same thing. The media didn't go after Kelly Marie Tran. People who are fans said, we don't like that character. Again, I've had so many people who've said, I don't like the character. I have no problem with her as a person because guess what? Most people did not attack her personally. Most people have not gone after her personally. Again, maybe a few sick people have, but that's not the reason why she got, at least we don't know that. We don't know that's the reason why she got social media. Again, let's just be honest about this for a second, Cinema Blend, please. This led the franchise favorites like Mark Hamill coming to her defense, which filmmakers James Gunn and James Mangold have spoken up about the toxic fandom as it extends past the Star Wars franchise. Again, I'm so sick and tired of hearing that word toxic. I use it back on them in jest because they don't understand what the word toxic actually means. Again, they just spin the wheels, they spin the stories to try and fit their narrative, and in reality, it's just not based in the truth, as I've just made present, going through this article. The next installment of the Star Wars franchise is J.J. Abrams' Untitled Episode 9 on December 20th. In the meantime, check our A220. Okay, so guys, this is just so, again, this is something that starts off by saying Jar Jar Binks actor thanks Star Wars fans for support after sharing suicide struggle. So this could have been an incredibly positive article saying this is what happened, this is what and giving it, what this article didn't do either, it didn't give examples of things that the fans said, because I guarantee you, if you went on that post, you would have probably found a 99% positive response showing love, gratitude for him, and just saying, hey, we understand what you're going through. I'm sure a lot of people have had similar struggles in their life, and saying, hey, we're there for you. We're so sorry that this happened to you. But guess what? You didn't do that, Cinema Blend. Instead, you decided to just go off on these tangents to try and tie it to things that have no connection to it whatsoever to spin your own narrative. And also talking about Solo, again, I just wanted to talk about this really quick. I didn't want to do a whole video on this story. This is once again Dork Side of the Force, and what does it say? Solo, a Star Wars story, is no longer the worst as long as you ignore a few details. So I talked about this yesterday, about how the media is already trying to spin it to try and say, oh, it's not the worst Star Wars film domestically if you ignore inflation, which is just the dumbest thing you've ever heard in your life. Well, it looks like Dork Side is continuing the stupidity there by, just continuing this narrative. At least they're a little bit more upfront with the numbers, it seems. But I just wanted to read this first paragraph especially. So it says, it's really a shame Solo, a Star Wars story is something many of us have wanted for years now, and for one reason or another, it flopped. I don't remember a lot of people saying they wanted a Han Solo film with someone who was not Harrison Ford, and also, for one reason or another, there are very clear reasons as to why this movie flopped. You are just choosing to ignore them. And then it goes in to say, these are the amounts of numbers that Solo and Empire Strikes Back have made. But remember, adjusted for inflation, that 209 for Empire Strikes Back turns into over 650 million. And guess what? Since we're still in 2018, that 210 is still 210. So that's a $400 million difference. So yeah, you have to ignore some pretty big math there to be able to make this justification. And also, I love how Callum Gunn here for Dorkside just basically made a short little blog post on this when it just wasn't even necessary in the first place, because it's not a groundbreaking thing. I'm sorry, you cannot say that this movie is not a flop because it's still going to lose $200 million. Please check out the videos that I've done on the math on that if you are interested in box office numbers, because I show you without a shadow of a doubt why this film is going to lose at bare minimum $200 million. But anyway, guys, just about the main thing we talked about today, what are your thoughts on this whole Jar Jar Binks situation? What are your thoughts on everything going on with Ahmed Best? What are your thoughts on everything? Please let me know in the comments below. I would greatly appreciate that. Also, if you like this video, hit that thumbs up, hit that subscribe as well. It does me a lot of good, and it just really means a lot to me as well. So thank you so much for that. And also, too, I now have a Patreon page. You can find the link to it in my description. So if you would like to become a patron, I would greatly appreciate that. Again, I'm not going to ask for it. I'm not going to change anything I'm doing doing here. But I can tell you that, you know, as soon as as soon as I'm able to get something going there, and also monetization here on YouTube takes a long time to get going as well, since I've hit those, you know, those goals. And I just want to thank every subscriber for that. Again, we've reached over 1,000. We're at 1,300 subscribers now, which is just insane to me. I'm just so thankful for every single one of you guys. And also, we're at over 10,000 watch hours, which is over twice as much as was needed. And now we're just waiting on YouTube. And so I can tell you that right now, anything that I get is going straight back into the channel to increase, you know, to make the video quality better, to make the streaming experience better, to give gifts to you guys. I've talked about this in my live streams. I want to be able to give free movies to you guys in my live streams every night. And so that's what I'm working towards. And so if you want to be a part of that, again, please donate if you want to. Again, nothing else is going to change otherwise. And I just greatly appreciate you just for watching this video and just sharing it. So thank y'all so much for joining. Have a great day. And as always, God bless.